Stories like crazy, because everyone has mental health, and everyone has a story, and sometimes they're crazy. Join Lori Lane Murphy and me, Adriana Prosser, as we talk about dealing with, struggling with, and managing mental health with storytellers who want to share their true life story. Get in the conversation with us and talk to us on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe on SoundCloud and iTunes. Now, let's smash some stigma. This week, we catch up with our very first podcast guest ever, Dan Curtis Thompson. He comes back because he wanted to share more of his story. And, as a trigger warning, we do talk about suicidal ideation. Dan wanted to share his story to help others who might be experiencing suicidal thoughts, and to let those of you know that you are not alone. Here, let's listen.
It's kind of a hard story to tell. I've never actually told it publicly before.
Well, let's wait for the puppy.
So I know that the dog is so excited.
He's so excited
to hear this.
This is so lovely.
So it's a hard story for me to tell. I'll ease into it by saying that I've struggled with anxiety and depression for my whole life, but I don't think I ever really knew that's what they were called. You know, I didn't have names for them. I think I just always thought that you're born and then you're sad and then sometimes you'll have fleeting moments of joy and then you die one day. And that was normal to me. That wasn't like a depressing truth. I was just like, well, that's just the way that I've known life to be, and then I guess that's okay. And so that's always been a struggle for me, and until about 2 years ago when I started, or 2.5 years ago, I started getting into therapy, and my therapist was like, oh no, this is, we've got names for these guys. I was like, okay, well, fine. So that's been something that I've been struggling with for a long time, and for me, and I know a lot of people it's similar, for me how it works is it always happens with just one irrational idea or thought, like you're not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, I'm never gonna find love, or if I do, it's never gonna last because why would they stay with me? That if any other human being told me that, I'd be like, fuck you, man. But
Yeah.
But if I think that at 2 a.m. is the voice of reason, and as soon as I think those thoughts, it starts spiraling, and it starts building, it starts snowballing, and then the snowball's rolling down the hill, and it's going faster and faster and faster, and I can't keep up with it anymore, and it's just getting bigger, and I don't know what to do. And so here in Toronto, I live in the East End, and everything happens in the middle or the West End of Toronto. So I would always cross over a bridge to get to work or to get to comedy shows, to do stuff, and I would always cross the bridge over the Don Valley Parkway. Okay. And I always loved crossing that bridge because you can see all the cars on the DVP, and I always think like, wow, where are those people going? And look how many there are. Look how many humans are on that right now, and there's the nice Don Valley River that looks dirty but is also kind of pretty.
Yeah.
And then you can see out onto the skyline, and then past that you can see the Lake Ontario, and it's always very pretty for me, and I always try and make note of that every time I go across the bridge there. And so this is where it gets hard. About 2 years ago, I almost killed myself. Wow. And the scariest part to me, I think I always thought about suicide or suicidal thoughts as something so dramatic. You're doing this to prove something to someone, or you're doing this to I'll show them, or you want someone to miss you, or something. That was always the idea I had. But the thing that scared me the most was that I was so calm about it. These thoughts would kind of come up in my head, almost like I was thinking about what I wanted to have for dinner that night. I'd be like, yeah, I could go for some death, death or Chinese, maybe Chinese and death, And this is what I always try and make jokes about to make it feel less real, but it was very real and very, very scary. The fact that I felt like people wouldn't miss me and I wouldn't miss this, and that's okay, was the hardest thing it was like I was thinking, oh, this is how it starts, and it's going to end soon, and that's okay, and that doesn't bother me that that's okay.
Wow.
But then it bothered me. It's kind of an oxymoron, but that all of that didn't bother me bothered me, and I didn't know what to do about this. So I just kind of kept going in my life, thinking that this is gonna be over soon, and I couldn't tell anyone, because if I did, then I'd be crazy, and I don't want to be crazy. I either want to be normal or I don't want to be. And it feels like I can't be normal. So I would just keep on going to work, and I'd keep on going to comedy shows, and I'd keep on crossing that bridge every day. And then one night, after a comedy show that admittedly did not go very well, I definitely ate shit that night, which it happens to the best of us.
Happens to us all.
It was the night that I bombed, and then that bomb led to me saying I'm not good enough, led to me saying I'm never going to find love, led to me saying I'm not smart enough to write jokes, led to me saying I don't need to do this anymore. And obviously, based on what that audience just showed me, no one's going to miss this. So I walked home, and I was thinking about all these things, like I haven't prepared for this, I didn't like go looking for like ways to do it. I didn't know anything. I didn't even write a note, but actually I tried to write a note, but I every time I started to do it, every time I picked up the pen, I became like a writer. I was like, now this has to be eloquent. And I think like my biggest fear as a suicidal writer was that someone would find it and be like, oh, it's a bit derivative, and so I was walking home thinking I have not prepared for this, and then I walked onto that bridge that I always saw the view of, and every time I walked over that bridge, it was like a moment where I could just be, instead of think about all these things that I couldn't turn off. And usually I would just walk across the bridge, but this time I stopped, and I looked down, and I thought, what am I doing? Why am I stopping? Why am I looking down? And then it was almost like there was this, my brain was telling me something that I didn't know how to process. It was saying, just jump, just do a dive. It'll be over fast. It probably won't even hurt. And I stared off the bridge, and I cried for, it felt like an hour. It must have been like 10 minutes. Just watching the cars and watching the river and looking at the skyline and thinking, I think I have to do this. And I wish that there was a better ending to the story, other than I mean, it's a good ending that I didn't do it. It's the best ending. I mean, there's definitely a worse alternative, but I don't know why I didn't do it. To this day, I still don't know why I didn't do it. I'm happy I didn't do it. Absolutely. And if anyone's listening, they should know that I'm in a good place now. I'm happy. I'm living my life happily. But I didn't talk to anyone about this for a long time. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my friends. I told my therapist, and I think because of that, I didn't end up at that bridge again. And I had a great friend named Courtney who helped me through it with just by being a friend, but I still didn't tell her. But then, after months went by, I finally did start opening up, and I did tell people individually that this is something that I went through. And I think the reason I wanted to tell this story today is because I would say 9 out of 10 people that I would tell this story to, they would say, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. And
I wish that I had the knowledge back when I was feeling this way, to know that feeling that you're feeling so alone and that there's no one that understands this is not true.
Yeah.
So, like, if anyone is listening to this that is maybe going through what I was going through, or going through your own version of it, there's so many people that have been through that, and talking to someone is what saved my life.
Yeah.
And I wish that we could find a way to say, oh, I'm kind of casually thinking about suicide, and can I talk to you about that without it being a terrifying... I remember when I'd tell people that, and they'd be like, your neck is going all red and flushed, because it was just emotion coming out of my skin, you know?
You're just bursting.
It's bursting at my skin with emotion, and of course it's emotional, but it should be something that we can talk about, and that's... So it is not really an ending to the story, other than I'm here talking with my live human being voice.
That was the chapter that just ended, and now there's a new chapter.
And the next chapter, for anyone who's going through it, is really fucking great.
That's amazing to hear. So I'm gonna get a little closer. So there's so many things. One, we're recording this on Blue Monday. Have you heard of Blue Monday?
No.
Today is supposed to be...
Other than the orgy song.
What? Okay. No, I'm thinking Prodigy. I'm going to have to look that up.
It might be a cover. Maybe it's Prodigy. I don't know.
But Blue Monday is supposed to be the most depressing day of the year. Today, January 15th.
Wow.
So, and you're wearing blue.
I'm wearing blue.
And it is, if you look outside, oddly enough, we do have a view of the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible day outside. Mm-hmm. It is Blue Monday.
Yeah, that is the bridge. As
soon as you said it, I'm like, oh wow, that is my view. And do you? I love that on Blue Monday you are saying, I've had suicidal thoughts, but I've struggled, I've dealt, I've managed, I'm coping, and not only all of those things, but you're living and you're happy. Mm-hmm. Your words.
Yeah.
That's freaking fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, and I remember when I was going through all that stuff, I was thinking, I'm never going to be happy. Yeah. I'm never going to feel that way.
It's an all-consuming feeling.
Yeah.
And you just, yeah, it's so dark and so real. And I too have anxiety and have the 2 a.m. For me, it's 4 a.m. Don't know why.
Sure.
The voice of non-reason that's just like, hey, buddy, remember all those awful things that you did? Let's replay them right now.
Yeah, remember that embarrassing thing you did 3 years ago? Haha, good times.
Sometimes they're 20 years old of these things that just come up and you're like, why, brain? Why?
Yeah.
So, yes, that the big reason for Stories Like Crazy is, like you're saying, you just want to keep talking about it, want to destigmatize it, want to make the so-called unnormal normal.
Yeah.
Right? And
absolutely. And I wish that I knew back then that as I go on, I have so many more tools now with dealing with feelings when they come up and that I didn't have back then and that I didn't have before that, and so on and so forth. And I think you gain tools as you go along. So if I were to start feeling that way again, I have more confidence that I'm not going to be standing on that bridge again. Right.
That you can manage, you can cope.
Yeah.
And you would say that therapy helped you find those tools?
Therapy, better diet, exercise, and also changing the dialogue was huge for me.
CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, right? Like that you change how you phrase things in your head.
Yeah, and for a long time, as I was saying, I would get thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable of love. And when those would pop up, I would just start telling myself, no, I'm smart enough. No, I'm good enough. I can be in love.
Right,
it can
you
work
talk
out.
Back to it.
And I guess to quote-unquote to be a crazy person, I do that out loud. I do that out loud on the street.
Amazing.
But it's like the best kind of crazy person who walk around being like, yeah, I'm good enough.
I'd be like, excuse me, can I give you a high five?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not, no.
And at first, when I was telling myself, you're good enough, you are smart enough, I was like, you are lying to yourself. You're blatantly lying to yourself. But the more you repeat thoughts, the more they become truth. So obviously, I had been telling myself I'm not good enough for a very long time because it became a truth. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, what is it that they say to form a habit, you have to do it for 6 months or something ridiculous? I had reached my 10,000 hours of expertise of calling myself dumb.
Right?
Yeah,
you are an expert in being an asshole to yourself.
Oh, I'm really good at it, but now I'm trying to be an expert in being really good to myself.
That's amazing. And
maybe I'm only at 5,000 hours, but I'm getting to the 10,000.
And this is the true self-care. A lot of people, you see all these blogs about self-care, treat yourself to a latte, and it's like, not exactly.
Also tell yourself you're worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And that these rephrasing of how you talk to yourself and your innermost self, that that is the thing that is going to be the best self-care. That's amazing. Just to also put my because my anxiety is like I constantly need validation.
Oh yeah, what's that like?
Oh gee. So to be a better mental health advocate, I actually am tomorrow going to Burlington, and I am becoming an educator for Safe Talk, which is suicide alert for everyone.
Wow.
Where you talk, what is it? Talk. Sorry. Talk is the acronym. I'm like, talk is the meaning's talk. So T is tell. Geez, I'm the worst at this right now.
It's not a test tomorrow, is it?
I shouldn't. I'm gonna fail. There goes my anxiety. But that it's like that you listen, and the last letter is keepsake, and it's how you keep things safe. So it's about your resources and your tools, and that not only can I be seen as a keepsake and keep safe, but that I am happy to be the person that connects you to your resource, so that you were talking about why can't we just walk up to our friend and say, you're my friend and I love you and I trust you and I'm going to give you a heavy right now. I need to talk to you about my suicidal ideation. I may be thinking about hurting myself. I may be thinking about killing myself.
Yeah.
And
even saying that, even if you're like, I'm not sure, but maybe.
Like, I just need you to just listen and soundboard with me and help me work this out. Now, Safe Talk is about being that first connect and being like, wow, I love you. I hear you. This is not something that I'm very comfortable with, but I want to be your friend. Like, I'm comfortable being your friend. But I don't feel like I have the resources to help you. So why don't I help you connect? And I will hold your hand metaphorically or physically. Great. And that's the Safe Talk. And I've also taken the ASSIST, which is the Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training, which is I'm the person that your friend might take you to be like, my friend is feeling suicidal. Can you help? And I will be like, yes. I am not a registered nurse or doctor, but I do know about helping you break down your suicide plan and give you a resource like here's a telephone if you need anonymity. Here is the hospital that does that has a mental health ward. Like that I have situational and community-based resources because my anxiety, knowing that my brother was taken by suicide and depression, that I want to become a better resource. I want to be the person that you say, hey, Adrienne, I know it's 2 a.m., but can we Facebook chat?
That's the thing. Yeah, of course. And the answer is always yeah. And
exactly.
Since I've started talking to people about it, people have been reaching out to me more about it, and I'm always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It changes you.
It really, it's 100% changed me.
That it makes you more empathetic because you realize that the stigma and the so-called bunny-eared normal isn't normal. It's not normal to push people away because they're feeling terrible.
No, of course not.
It's so weird. And like how you were saying in your story that your suicidal ideation didn't sound or feel dramatic enough.
Yeah, exactly. I had this preconceived notion that it has to be this really heavy thing, but I think it doesn't have to be anything. It can just be whatever it is to you.
Yeah. And I think that that's also an ownership that the media needs to take. And I know that there's been a good shift, like with 13 Reasons Why.
Sure.
And the ownership of like, if you're going to talk about suicide, you need to provide resources. You need to have a follow-up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that you need to say we're going to cure suicide because that's also not a thing. But to follow up with resources and know that if you are feeling this way, that there are things that you can do.
Yes.
Because Hollywood tells us that suicide is this dramatic, heavy thing, and people are bullied, people are pushed, people are abused, and it's like,
and I mean, that can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Not diminishing that. But like how you're saying is, the everyday can get to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And then if it doesn't match up exactly with what you've seen in Hollywood or seen in your life to be, then you're like, well, this is wrong. But it's not wrong. It's just, it's what you're going through. And what you're going through is very important.
Absolutely.
Because it's what you're going through.
It's what you're going through.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating to me. I picked up on that right away when you said that. It's just, And I know that you named a friend, and with her listening to it, she might feel a little heartbroken because you know that she loves you and that she's a good friend, but for some reason you didn't come to her, and I really do believe that
I've actually talked to her about this.
Okay,
since,
great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I wouldn't have just like named. Like, by the way, where were
Drop
you?
Yeah, but like it's not anything to do with her, and that's something that I'm having to deal with in my therapy. Is that I need to know that my brother loved me and that he did come to me in his own way, and that may not have, like, he never sat down and said, sister, I am feeling suicidal. But that, again, through stigma, through whatever we are processing in our brains, it stops you.
Yeah.
It stops you from making that connection. And now, I've had people come up to me that are a friend of a friend on Facebook, or listeners, or a person at work. It's interesting how it's not like your besties, or...
It's never your besties, yeah.
Right?
It's always kind of randos.
Yeah, and or like...
But I love that.
I love it too, and that they know, and I think it's interesting that because you don't see them every day, there is this distance that they can put between themselves to not be reminded of that terrible, awful, no good day that they finally said it out loud, because you might not have said it until you.
And I think when I was going through it, I was nervous of telling my parents or my friends, because I was worried that like every day after that they'd be like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like,
Yeah, it's hard because you want to be able to.
Because I want to feel normal.
You want to feel normal. You want to control your narrative, right? That every time that person sees you. So, to date, a handful of people have come to me with their suicidal ideation. One person, I had to call the cops.
Right.
And they were dispersed. They took them to the hospital, and I was interrogated and whatnot. And I fully believe that I stopped that thing from happening.
That's wonderful.
It took a few years for that person to want to hang out with me, to like my Facebook posts, to come to the parties that I invited them to. Because it's hard because I think that, again, like how you were saying, you want to walk up and then all of a sudden there's that head tilt and the, oh, how are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck off.
It very much is. And I think there's just a fear, like, I can't speak for that person, but it's kind of like if you like ask someone out, this is very different, but but if you ask someone out, they say no, and then like they're at the party, you're like, oh, I can't go there. What if they like remember that?
Yeah, exactly.
But just on a grander scale.
It's yes, I get it. I totally understand that analogy, because it is. It's like, oh yeah, that happened between us.
Yeah.
We can't not say you can't.
I can't look at that person right now.
Yeah.
Without feeling awkward, which is totally fine. But it's just.
And that's the other thing too.
Go
is
at your
that
own pace.
Go at your own pace. I'm really, really thankful that person finally did come back into the fold. Like that. Yeah. That they feel welcome in my home again, and that their journey, may have taken them far away, but they came back around. But again, it was one of those things that, as a helper, I had to understand that this isn't about me. This is totally about you, and what you need right now.
That can be tricky as a helper.
Oh,
Making it about you. Oh, I'm so good at that, but
it's so hard.
Honestly, once you have some kind of experience with it, as you said, like it makes you a lot more empathetic, and it's easier to make about them.
Yeah.
Listening is really important when someone's coming to you about this.
It's hard because you want to fix them. You want to make them better.
That's the thing, yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, I think everyone has a bit of a hero complex. I certainly do.
Everybody, yeah. Invisible capes everywhere. And sometimes the hardest, but the best thing to do is just listen.
Just listen and say, I'm here for you.
Blanket fort. Let's eat crackers.
Yeah. And what can I do for you?
Right? Because a lot of the time they just need to be heard.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing that you found people to listen, and that you are finding tools through therapy. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's been a slow road, but it's been a road.
That's amazing.
It's better than not knowing where the road is.
Yeah, and do you find that you're not triggered by other people coming to you with their thoughts and feelings about this?
No, I don't know. It makes me sad, I guess, that other people are feeling that way. But I feel if someone comes to me about this, it's less. I think I'm just better now. I have now tools that I'm better at not making it about me. So I think I'm better at now just learning how to listen and being there for them. So I think maybe it's triggering for me a little bit after we have the conversation.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel like it reminds me of just those feelings. But again, my feelings weren't even that dramatic. So when I am brought back there, it's just kind of more of a numbing than anything else.
Well, I mean, and because you're being empathetic, you take on, right? Rather than sympathetic, which is, oh yes, I feel those things too.
Yeah, there's a separation.
Yeah, there's like a push and a hand between, like it becomes I statements rather than you, right? Empathy is about you and about being about the other person's walking in their shoes and such.
Yeah.
So to take that on, and as soon as they leave, that you still have that residual feel of what that person's gone through.
Of course, yeah, but now again with the tools I have to with therapy and learning how my brain works and learning especially how to get out ahead of it. That's really important. Is knowing I've heard that I said like maybe one irrational thing, so I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna go meditate right now. I'm gonna go to the gym and work out right now. I'm gonna make sure. When was the last time I drank water? Just little checklist things that I can do to get out ahead of it. Or I'm gonna do something that really makes me happy right now.
Very cool. So very self-aware about.
Yeah, it can be a bit clinical at times, but it works for me. Yeah.
Yeah, if it totally works.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any last words of what you want to leave our listeners with before they go and Google you?
Yeah, I think the thing I really wanted to do today, and the reason I wanted to come on, was that now I'm at a place where I'm able to talk about this, and I want to make sure that people know that talking about it has been the best part of it.
Amazing. Yeah. So we're listening. Your friends and your family are listening. Dan and I are listening.
I'm listening. Yeah.
This is great. Can they come and see you at? Are you back in show?
Yeah, I'm doing shows all over town now. You can find my dates. I'm going to be doing shows at dancurtisthompson.com, and I run a monthly show at the Social Capital Theatre here at Broadview Danforth.
Nice.
Called New Faces, and that's the fourth Monday of every month at 8:30 p.m. And I don't bomb as much as I did back then, so
it's all good.
Yeah,
we all bomb on this disc. So thank you so much, Dan. This has been great.
Yeah, this has been really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. If you want to join the conversation, and we hope you do, come find us on Twitter and Facebook, and you can subscribe to us on iTunes and SoundCloud. That's it, Stigma Fighters, and remember, your story isn't over yet, and we want to hear it.